Good morning, Mike and Arlen, our Philippine journey. Hey, you know what? I've got to tell you about last night's excursion. It was my birthday, and we went out to dinner with friends, and it was so disappointing. Probably the worst dinner value I've ever had in Angeles City. Let's get started and fill you in.
I never got it, why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance, no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
So, it is my birthday weekend, and my wife wanted us to go out someplace nice for dinner, which, of course, you know, and my wife, being Filipino, loves seafood. In fact, many of our friends love seafood. So we chose to go to Midori, and we've never been, but they have the seafood feast buffet with unlimited lobster. Okay, great. I like lobster. I like spiny lobster more than Maine lobster. But in Asia, you have to be a little bit picky. But that's not what this is about. Okay? Let's just tell you all the different things. First off, Midori, um, the restaurant is located in the Midori Casino, which never been to, don't know anything about it, have no idea. It's supposed to be an upscale casino out on Clark, and but that's just not our bag. Nice place. The way they work it is they have two settings because you are on a time limit. Although it's unlimited, you are on a time limit. So there's a 5:30 to 7:30 session, and then a 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock session. Well, we could not get reservations for the 5:30 by the time we decided to go. So we went to the 8 o'clock session. Okay. Well, for starters, they did not even open up until 8:15, which, okay, big deal. All right. I mean, if you can't fill your gut in a reasonable amount of time, what's an extra 15 minutes? But as I predicted, as we're sitting in line with all these people waiting to get in, I said, you know what? They're going to open the doors and they're going to have one person checking in each table. Yep. So that's another 15 minutes just to get to the counter to say, hey, we're here, reservations, blah, blah, blah. And they set us down. And the first thing that I noticed was simply, this is a big place. This seats a lot of people. And it was kind of hard to judge at that point in time how many people were behind us in line. But no matter. So I kind of looked around. And the first thing I look at is salad. I love good salad. I truly do. However, their salad was a little bit limited, but the lettuce looked crisp, the cabbage looked good. Hey, no problem. Let's get along with that. However, Thousand Island dressing, which is, I know, as unsophisticated as possible, they were almost out of it. But I made a salad, got some dressing, and I realized, you know what? They need to fill this dressing up. There's not any more here. Went on my way. The way the place is configured, you have two people serving all of the meat and seafood. And they're cutting the ham.
Yung plate nandun.
Pork belly, beef, by hand, individually, and they're putting lobster, or you can't access the food. You have to, they get it, they get your plate, they put it on the plate, they hand it back to you. Slow. Oh my God, slow. So then I looked around. They have a bunch of, I don't know, half a dozen, 8 different dishes. One of which actually was kind of good. It was kind of like a lamb stew. That was actually pretty good. A couple of other things were pretty average. But let's go through this. Then you go to get something to drink. Well, guess what? What I expect when I'm paying $100 for a meal for Arlen and I, because that's what it is, it came out to, actually $105 US. I expect a little bit of service, of which there is none. Absolutely none. We had to flag down people to bring us water. We had to go find water to refill our water. You have to go and get soft drink. They had their soft drinks. They had beer, and drinks were included, or beer was included, and orange drink and Sprite, but no diet drinks were available. No sugar-free drinks. And that's an issue because I'm trying to keep my carbs and sugar down because, I'm an insulin-dependent diabetic. None of that. The second thing, there's no tablecloth on our table. Really? At $100 a meal, you can't get a tablecloth? That was kind of a little distressing, but, it's the Philippines. The third thing was napkins. The little tissues. That's it. Little tiny tissues. No linen napkins. I mean, right down the road is the Marriott, and their buffet, although not unlimited, starts at a certain time of night, goes to a certain time of night. You can eat for hours on end. And not that we eat for hours on end, but when you're spending that kind of money, you want to savor the meal. You want to take your time with the meal. Okay? So, napkins. These little cheap paper napkins, tissue napkins. No service whatsoever. Getting them to pick up plates because, quite frankly, we went with friends of ours, Chuck and Cecile. And Chuck and I are pretty similar with respect to, we're just slowly grazing. But the girls are wiping out seafood. I mean, I don't think Arlen will eat for the next 2 days. And that's kind of a Filipino thing. When they want, they're bound to determine they're going to get their money's worth. All right. Which was kind of fun. Lobster. You could tell that these lobster, and they're not slipper lobster, which is kind of common and I don't like at all, but they weren't real regular, like you're used to Caribbean spiny lobster or rock lobster, as we would call them in Florida, and certainly not like Maine lobster, but that's okay. You expect that. All right. And though it didn't slow Arlen and Cecil down, the lobster was a bit mushy. You could tell it had been cooked, frozen, recooked, over and over. It didn't have that texture. Now, maybe that's the case of that lobster. I can overlook that. Lobster is not a big thing on my menu. But service is a big thing. Service is huge. When you're paying that kind of money, you want a little bit of service, and we had none. So I asked one of the guys, I said, hey, where's the lechon? Because that's a big deal, that they do in their promotion. They have lechon, they have unlimited lobster, unlimited seafood. Oh, sorry, sir, we're all out. We ran out in the first sitting. Really? Did you discount my pricing because you don't have one of the mainstays? Now, I will tell you this. As far as ham goes, I had a couple slices of ham. I had a couple slices of beef. And as far as both of those goes, the beef was tender, although average. And certainly the ham was tender. It was moist. But it's just not what you're used to coming from the U.S. But you expect those things. So that was acceptable. But service was so pathetic. How can you run out of lechon? When later I found out, oh yeah, they do have some chopped up lechon left over in a warming plate. And I went and got it, and it was okay. But lechon comes with a sauce, of which there was none. I got a piece of bread. I asked for, where's the butter? Oh, all out, sir. I'm sorry. So now they're out of butter. They're out of this. They're out of that. So there were several things. Then what I noticed was they started breaking everything down about 9:45. So they start 15 minutes late, and then they're taking everything down 15 minutes early. Arlene went back up to get some more salmon. The salmon, she said, was very good. She went to get some more salmon sashimi. And, oh, sorry, ma'am, all out. I went to get some tempura. Now, for those of you in the U.S., you may remember what a fry daddy is. It was a little fryer that you could buy at half a dozen different, Walmart, Bed Bath & Beyond, wherever. And it was meant to be like a home fryer. You could put a portion of fries down in there, chicken strips, whatever. They're using a supersized fry daddy to make tempura. And the line to get tempura, while I admire the fact that the tempura is nice, it's crisp, it's good when you get it, it's a 20-minute wait to get 3 pieces of fish, of shrimp tempura. All right. It's the same thing goes for when they're deep frying other items. The service is horrible. The setup is horrible. It is, if you didn't know better, you would think it's actually set up to physically limit you. I guess that's kind of, the way it goes. I used to have a mandatory rule in the U.S. And I've had this rule in the U.S. and it's worked in the U.K. and it's worked in other places in Thailand. If my drink glass is almost empty and nobody comes by to ask me would I like to, even if I'm paying drink by drink, would I like something else to drink? Is there, if I have to actually physically get up and flag somebody down to get a refill on my service water, couldn't even find bottled water. You could get service water. Couldn't find anything, no sugar-free drinks whatsoever that we could find. The layout is just bizarre. And then the desserts were just what they were. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of the food was very good. And I can't complain about the price because it is what it is. But the 3 things that I noticed that stand out in my mind. The first one is the service from the actual people. Pathetic. Absolutely, absolutely the worst service I've ever had in a Filipino restaurant paying that kind of money. The second thing is, I only saw 3 foreigners, 1 American and 2 other Koreans. The rest of them were Filipinos. That's a lot of money for a Filipino. Remember my video. There are people with money here in the Philippines. And last night we saw that. Tell me what you think. Am I being too critical? All right. It's important to know. Am I should I be less critical, or should, I don't know. I certainly expected the same service at one setting to another, or I should have been told, hey, not going to happen. Either way, I don't know. Hey, look, please do subscribe. Hit that thumbs up. We really appreciate it. And have a great day.